build a hospital that was torn down by the government.
Amen.
When we were told in 2014, $5 million was made available by the Mexican government. Right? Take note of that because that is important. Okay? I am telling you right now, that's what it's about. Dominicans deserve better.
Yes.
This was a shootout in Roseau. They just showed up with this flatbed truck, picked up the body and threw it in the back of the
Yeah,
truck, right?
I saw it.
Right with the crowd sitting. That's unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
That is unacceptable. These are the
said that.
things that we should not tolerate.
Pride.
All right? I put this picture up there. We have to be brutally honest because this is a fight. It's now or never for Dominica. I am telling you. You have to talk to your brother, your sister, everyone else about what has transpired. We're losing Dominica. We're losing Dominica. All these nice buildings you see going up are the projects to contain Dominicans. We were not built for that. The picture right here is my good friend, old friend, who's now the president in charge of electoral reform, right? This is a picture taken of him, short of breath at Princess Margaret Hospital.
Oh my goodness.
You know what happened? They flew him out.
Yep.
The helicopter came from Martinique, took him and flew him out. The poor people of Dominica cannot afford that. They die like dogs. But they and their families get flown out, right? So these are the things we need to pay attention to, all right? This was a picture recently on social media. A photo up. A photo up. When I look at this picture as a surgeon, I see a man who's going to lose his legs in 2 weeks. And you're sitting with him to take a picture. He has no circulation in that leg.
Oh my God.
And you give him a gift basket. Right? He does not need a gift basket. He needs health care.
Amen.
Yes.
Right? Because I'm sure if you go look for this man, he's either dead or he has two amputations.
Yes.
Okay? Amputation, diabetes, alcoholism, hypertension, all on the rise in Dominica. Fact, Dominica is one of the highest consumer of alcohols right now in the world. Do your own research. Don't just believe me.
Facts.
So I do this. I speak for Dr. Christian, who got a partial license to practice, a prominent surgeon in the United States. I.P. Pascal, a son of the soil of the Northeast, the only ears, nose, and throat doctor in Dominica. So because he turned 60, he can no longer practice. I don't care what the rules are. You do not put a man like that to pasture and get somebody else from Cuba to do what he did so well. Dr. Pascal could have gone anywhere.
Amen.
He stayed in Dominica.
Yep.
Yes.
And he soldiered on and took care of the people. And when he needed the people went silent.
Yes.
And this is what is happening in our society. So the periphery can sit and yell and talk about how great Dominica is. And we can sit in our first world privilege and say these things. Right? I went home 4 times last year, 5 times since Maria. Right? And I can tell you what we've experienced. And Dr. Rickett Schillingford.
Oh yes.
That is a crime what has happened to her.
Oh yeah.
Who's going to take care of the elderly patients that's now going blind from diabetes and glaucoma? Same thing, put to pasture so that they can bring in their friends
From Cuba.
who are foreigners because they think that everyone else is better than us. My uncle wrote this piece. My uncle's dream was to go back home. He built a house in Point Michel. He moved back, and then he went running. He left because both he and his wife were misdiagnosed. And if they had stayed, his wife would have died. And he wrote it, and he gave me permission to talk about it. So think about how many of you guys will want to go home when you're 60 and 65, and you have the high blood pressure, and you have the diabetes, and you have the vein problems in your leg. Who's going to take care of you? So what do? You don't go back. Or you go back and you find out the hard way and you do what my uncle did. You take the plane back and you don't go back. His dream was always to go back home. He built his house, live there, and enjoy his last years. That did not happen because there is no health care. All right, I want to tell you guys a story. Erica. We mobilized quickly when Erica hit Dominica. And I left Pennsylvania, drove 2.5 hours to a place called Slaytonton with a 20-foot U-Haul truck. Packed it up with medical supplies from a warehouse, and I headed to New York. I drove 3.5, 4 hours to New York. I met some patriotic Dominicans. We spent all night unloading that truck into someone's garage, right? And I left it there. The next day, the container came, they loaded the container. We raised the money, about $700-800, to send that container to Dominica. And you guys know the story about that. They rejected that container. A container that had about $750,000 worth of medical supply. They refused it because it was coming from me, right? What about the people that needed the supply? As a matter of fact, I had gotten a request from the Cancer Society of Dominica that told me that people needed the colostomy bag, right? People were reusing that. Could you imagine? You have stool coming out in the bag and you have to take it out and wash it. I sent 10,000 bags in that container, and they got rid of the container. Okay, think about that.
My God.
I didn't hear that. Yeah, remember they refused all the containers?
Once the container was on the ocean, I went down to Dominica with a nurse. They said they did not need me there. They said, nope, absolutely not. We do not need you, we have enough people. Which was a lie, because it was coming from me because they said I said something on Facebook about the Prime Minister. That was the reason they did not need my medical expertise. Okay? We set up shop at Fort Young Hotel. We got all the medical supplies, we put them in garbage bags, and we went to every clinic. We went to Cooley Bay Street, we went to St. Joseph, we went to Point Michel, we went to Newtown, and we handed the nurses, and the nurses who are on the front line, they said, thank you, thank you, thank you, we don't even have Tylenol. Okay, so that's what it was about while they were having meetings at Princess Margaret Hospital, saying, oh no, we do not need Dr. Dangleben there, right? The nurses were like, thank you, because they knew they were not gone. First of all, when I got to Dominica with the suitcase, they wanted to take it. They said, everything that comes to Dominica needs to go to Windsor Park. We need to sort it out. I said, absolutely not. And we had a back and forth. I ended up winning that battle for the suitcase. But this image you can't see. It's 2015. It's not 1980, it's not 1960. If you see the Newtown Clinic at the time, we rang the alarm on that because they had to shut it down. You know why they shut it down after we exposed them? There were rats. There was a rat infestation in that clinic. And they had to shut down the preschool next door because there were rats just running around. Hundreds of rats. This is a fact, okay? This is a fact because we exposed that, right? These are some of the images. The nurses work. The nurses, I can say nothing bad about these nurses because they are on the front line. They overworked. They take care of these patients. They do not have the tools they need to do their job. So when we showed up with what we gave them, despite what the hospital had to say, they were very appreciative of it. All right? So we have to look at things objectively. We cannot just say, well, I support this party and that party. No. This is about Dominica. This is about Dominica. This is about the poor people, the uneducated people who cannot fully understand that is now in such a situation that they don't even know what hit them. Dominica is being sold.
Oh yeah.
And all these buildings that is being built to show off is to contain the people so the rest of the land can be sold.
Yes.
Mark my word. It's talking about it's all about control. That is the strategy in any dictatorship. It's in the books.
Yes.
History has taught us.
Fully blown.
History has taught us.
We're there already.
Okay. So anyway, I want to tell you guys the story of Maria. Zanita was with me. 16 of us came together. We did not know each other, but we mobilized for Dominica. We were all Dominicans, exception of one person. We mobilized from Texas, from Florida, from New York, New Jersey. I came from Pennsylvania. We mobilized for Dominica. And this is the container I never talked about. There was another container that I still don't know what has happened to. A 40-foot container that I sent down for Maria that I still have not gotten any report on where it is and what happened to it. Right? But we mobilized. We did not know how we were going to get to Dominica. Okay? While some people here take a ticket to go down and vote. Listen to what I have to say. 16 of us mobilized after Maria. We did not know how we were going to get to Dominica. We got to St. Lucia. And we couldn't get a boat. We could not get a boat to go to Dominica. We end up meeting this guy with a pirate ship. It's a pirate ship. $5,000. He'll take us to Dominica. Right? Wow. Fact. We got on that boat 2 a.m. 16 of us on that boat. Don't know what we're going to see in Dominica. We got on that boat with all our medical supplies and we hit the ocean at about 2 a.m. exact. Right? And we had the women, we had people from Wesley, we had people from Grand Bay, we had people from Grand Fond, Portsmouth. We were on that boat and the women were singing. And we were on the ocean for 9 hours. I get emotional when I talk about it because we did not know what was going to happen to us that night. We got to Dominica, right? This is a picture of that boat. This is us. We got to Dominica about 9 a.m., 10 a.m. And they said we cannot step off that boat. Trinidadian and the Jamaican military was there. We said we're Dominicans. We came, we're here. They said you're not getting off that boat. We sat on that boat for 2.5 hours. Wow. 2.5 hours until they got us off the boat and we moved. We got to, what's that place called? ACS. ACS was empty. We took over ACS. This was all our medical supply. We set up shop and we decided, okay, you're gonna go to Portsmouth, you're gonna go to Point Michel, you're gonna go here. We had bought $4,000 worth of food from St. Lucia to bring down with us. Okay? So that's what we did. We got papers, all our names were registered. We got a special document for curfews, so we could keep moving around the island, and we were ready to help our people. So when people want to sit and talk about what do you know, what have you done, we don't go about bragging about it, but in a forum like this, I will speak about it because we did it, right? And we mobilized. We saw 65 patients in one morning. Okay? I was supposed to go to the Roseau Clinic to help Dr. St. Jean. I regret it this day because he died soon after that. I was so busy in Point Michel and Soufriere, I could not make it to Roseau. Right? And we were there. She was with me. We all were there taking care of all kinds of. Some of the stuff was not even related to Maria. They were just happy to see a doctor. Yeah. Some of these patients had not seen a doctor for 3-4 months. Because Dr. St. Jean, who ran the Roseau Clinic, was the same doctor who every month or two would go out to the district. Overworked. Yeah. Overworked. We saw all kinds of wounds, all kinds of bobo.
Such a nice doctor,
and we kept moving. We kept moving. And that's what we did. Okay?
When he died.
So we had a great team. We got a great team, and then the end of the week, they said the boat is leaving. They said we were in Soufriere, they said the boat is leaving, you gotta go. Because you'll not get a boat until Monday. We had a connecting flight in St. Lucia. We ran down, we literally got down to Roseau on the port. And people were just running. There were about 600-700 people on that port, hot sun, running, pushing their way, trying to get out of Dominica.
Oh my God.
I was broken because I felt we had not done enough in the short time that we were there. But anyway, we got to St. Lucia and we continued to work for Dominica. We all went our separate ways. But the point is, that's what purpose is. That's what sacrifice is. That's what love of country is. And that's what we all have to come to realize in terms of when we do for Dominica. Right? It's easy It's easy to take $1,000. It's easy to take $2,000 and go down and vote and come back. But that's not what it should be about. It's about what you give.
Yeah.
It's about what you give. Too many times we take, and we don't give. It's time we start giving back to Dominica in a positive way. Because too many people are enriching themselves. Too many people have enriched themselves on the backs of Dominicans. I don't need Dominica's money, right? I don't need any of that. We do it because we love our people. We do it because we love our country. Think about that.
Love of country.
When we came back, I do have to share this though. After everything we went through to get to Dominica for Maria and what we did, we posted some stuff on social media and immediately people started attacking us. The people who sat in their luxury during that period of time pretty much said, we're lying. They said, oh, the pictures that we showed was not Dominica. That was on the internet years before. Our own people. None of them moved a muscle to get to Dominica. But as soon as we came back, they started giving us problems, right? We continue to give. We gave a $5,000 hospital in a box to the hospital. Even if we don't have privileges there, we continue to give because we know some way, somehow, it would help someone.
Yep.
We hope. And we continue to give. And that's what it's about when I say we need to give. We did a health fair last year. We did a great health fair in Point Michel. We had people come from Maho, we had people come from Petite Soufrière, and people with the most horrific wounds, right? People that should be in the hospital came to Point Michel and see us. Most people did not show up. You know why?
Party, politics.
They told them not to. They said, do not, it's a political thing. It was Dr. Sam, Nurse Lee, Dr. Jolly, and myself. We did blood pressure screening, we did diabetic check, we did wound care. They said that the Chinese ship was coming in 2 weeks. Do not go see Dr. Dan Gobet. So people stayed away for political reasons. Some of these people were bombarding me on Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp with their problems weeks before. But they did not have the gall to come out and be seen in that setting.
So sad.
This is what we've become. Once you start losing that friendship and that village mentality and our humanity, we've lost it all.
Oh, yes.
And that is what has, that is the modus operandi. This is what they've always used to keep us divided as a people.
Caller.
That is fact. We've become jealous and envious of each other instead of lifting up each other. We want to see each other down. So we keep fighting. And while we're fighting, somebody's enriching themselves behind our back. We cannot unite. We cannot come together collectively to build our wealth, right? But everyone else is doing it around us. That is the unfortunate part of who we are. Not just Dominica, not just the Caribbean, but I would say black people in general.
Amen to that. It's true, we have no synergy
right?
ourselves.
This is some of the wounds, I know you can't see the screen, these are some of the wounds that we dealt with. The ugliest wounds that you would ever see. And you know, it's heartbreaking. Many people come to me with their book, the Blue Notebook. You guys remember that from the 1980s, the Blue Notebook. That's what these patients have.
They still have it.
When we went after Maria,
Really?
people were coming and begging us for medication. And they could not tell us what the medications were. And they had lost their books. They lost their books. And they were trying to say, well, my mother was taking a blue pill, or my mother was taking a red pill, or a pink. I said, I don't know what that is. And no one knew. It was sad. It's really sad. Because they lost the books. Right? When I went on for the health fair, people brought their books to me. And they opened it. I took pictures.
Wow.
I protected their names. But they said to me, Doc, the doctor writes in here, and I can't read it. For years.
So sad.
And they don't have the mindset to say, what is this? And I'm reading this, and I'm like, I don't know what it says. They're, but you're a doctor. I said, yeah, but I don't know what it says. So these people are going to the doctor, the doctor is writing, scribbling in the paper, right? That's gone. We don't do that anymore. Everything is electronic.
Electronic, yeah.
I donated laptops. When we went on last year to the hospital to give to the nurses. It took them 4 months to get these laptops to the clinics. Fact. Okay? But we're not going to go on social media and brag about the laptops we gave, right? That's what it's about. Because I was trying to tell the Point Michel nurse, put the information in the computer. Right? So you know what patient X is taking, patient Y is taking. When they come, if they lose their book, you don't have to, right? You don't have to wait for the doctor to come in a month while people's blood pressure is 200, right? A month after that, she messaged me, well, I better be careful. The nurses want to leave Dominica. Not because they're lazy. They are living. Not because they're lazy. These are hardworking nurses.
Living again up to last week.
Because it's the wrong condition for them, and no one is paying attention to what they're doing.
Get all Cuban.
These are some of the consults that I get. Look, since last Saturday, I've gotten 6. Today, this morning, I got a referral from Dominica. And a lot of it is basic. The most basic. What do I do for my wound? They send me from the hospital with this wound and they send me a picture. What should I do with it? Right? The whole Alford Award situation from last week, people came down on me saying I was lying. When 3 patients reached out to me, one of them refused to talk because she did not want to vilify. Her father fell, broke his neck. Sent home.
I heard that one.
Another guy has a wound on his amputated leg. Can't fit his prosthesis in there, right? Send home, no instructions. Another one has antibiotics written on a plastic. This is what's going on, and people are fighting me and saying, well, I made this up, I'm lying, right? What is there to lie about these things? This is what the people are facing in Dominica.
So sad, man.
So how do we move forward? And this is the things that I think Team Dominica will adopt to move Dominica forward.
Amen.
Government is involved in hiring nurses and firing nurses. Where have you heard of that? Like madness. There is always, even if it's a public-owned hospital or private hospital, there's a structure. There's a CEO, there's a CMO, there's a chief nursing officer, there's VPs, right? There's a hierarchy that controls the hospital and the hiring of nurses and nursing assistants.
Yep.
That's not how it works in Dominica. So putting some structure to that and respecting it is how it should be, okay? You look at Dominica. We've given this a lot of thought. You can't see the screen, but you break Dominica up into 4 zones. 4 zones. Simple. Northeast, northwest, southwest, southeast. You got the middle part, but we'll talk a little more about that. These are the zones. These are the zones. Think about that. Keep that in your mind. Right? You're going to have fewer clinics in the zones because you have a shortage of nurses. So you cannot have a clinic that's closed because you don't have a nurse and you don't have a doctor. Why have the clinic? Just to say you have a clinic. The Cooley-Bistry Clinic is always closed. Why have that clinic there? Why have a clinic in Colliho? Why have a clinic in Louvier and have one in Point Michel and have one in Newtown and have one in Roseau? That is not effective, right? So that's important in the planning of these things. So Portsmouth, Marigot, Roseau, Granby. Those are the 4 strategic points that you have to think about in terms of the delivery of care. Roseau is still the hub. Roseau is still the hub. But follow me. Okay? All right, so Portsmouth Hospital will be what you call a micro hospital. You have a full general hospital that most of you guys are familiar with up there, fully functional, all specialties. A micro hospital is a bridge between a polyclinic and a general hospital. So you have a lot of services and a certain amount of beds to facilitate, right? So you'll decide Portsmouth is going to be the pediatrics, or it's going to be pulmonary, it's going to be lung, things like that. You facilitate that, you call that a micro hospital. Okay? That's important. Follow me. Marigot. Marigot has to be the acute care hospital for obvious reasons, because that's where, right, the airport's going to be. Acute care surgery, critical care, ICU, emergency services in Marigot, the helipad with a helicopter sitting there, right? You don't need two helicopters. You need one helicopter for Dominique for an island that size. But you have a helipad in Portsmouth. You have a helipad in Marigot. You have one obviously in Granby and one. Right? It's a slab of concrete. It has to go through a lot of fire precautions and things like that. But it's doable. So Marigot now becomes the acute care center. Okay? So you stabilize anything trauma or emergency, and if you need to fly them out, you get the chopper up, you either get them to Roseau, you get them wherever you need to go, you have that. You're not going to drive down the mountain, that patient is going to die. You also have an operating room, right? And you have an overnight ICU. That's what you really need. That's what you really need in the Marigot area for disasters. Princess Margaret Hospital, and I said this on radio yesterday, a hospital system, a healthcare system is not a building, right? We can get points. We can get points by going on radio and say, well, we build a new hospital. That is not a healthcare system, okay? Healthcare system constitutes more than just a building, right? Staffing model. Who is going to staff the hospital? How many medical assistants, how many nursing assistants do you have? How many nurses do you have to your patient ratios that you're going to talk about, right? How many administrators are you going to have? What are the facilities? Dominica does not even have a command center. There's no command center in Dominica, meaning that if you get shot in Roseau and somebody calls command and say, hey, right? And then command calls and say, hey, trauma alert, patient shot, we'll be here in 5. No. I met with the fire chief in 2014 because I wanted to help in that regard. They throw the patients in the back of a truck, no nurse, right? No paramedic. And they get that patient to the hospital. And many times, there is no one to receive the patients. So your loved one is dying, and there's no one at the door waiting for them. And sometimes it takes 20 to 30 minutes to just get into the hospital. Fact. Okay? So in terms of Princess Margaret Hospital being the hub, you also have to look at outpatient services. Right? So the Roseau Clinic in the Botanical Garden is a misplaced clinic. It's a joke. I've been there. I've helped there. Right? You need to have an entire facility at Princess Margaret Hospital, including outpatient services, including hemodialysis, right? And getting rid of behavioral health. Behavioral health, right, which is psychiatric problems, that needs to be in the middle of the island. Like in the Pocasset area, very quiet, secluded, that therapeutic aspect of Dominica. Get that out of the Princess Margaret Hospital. So that has been well thought out in terms of what needs to be done here. Granby would be a polyclinic. And I will tell you more about why I say that. And I have some other villages. Soufriere, Gallia, and Scottsdale I put on the side. Because we have to think of the future. How many new roads have been cut in Dominica? We keep repaving the same old roads. We have not blasted any mountains. We have not cut any tunnels. We've not done any of that. So in order to facilitate the healthcare system, we got to talk about transportation, right? Because it's time. It's time, right? Especially when somebody's having a stroke, or somebody's having a heart attack, right? Or somebody's in a motor vehicle accident. These are helicopters. A brand new helicopter is $8 million. We built a bridge in Roseau for $18 million US. Okay? Let's put this into perspective. You wanna use helicopter? Less than $1 million. 5, 10 years old. The reason why I'm saying this is this. When Erica hit, that was a surprise, right? That was a tropical storm. We were not expecting that kind of damage. Let me see how many of you guys remember. How long did it take the helicopter from Trinidad to get to Dominica to take the Prime Minister to Petite Savane?
I have no clue. No clue.
Anyone remember? 2 days. A disaster. And the Prime Minister of Dominica is waiting for a helicopter from Trinidad to take him to Petit Savan. Shame on us. You go back to my Q95 clip and you will listen to me say a helicopter is needed in Dominica. One, not just for medical services, but for search and rescue because of the terrain of Dominica. Right?
Bentley.
Same thing happened after Maria. The Prime Minister was flying around in somebody else's helicopter.
Huh?
Over $300 million has been spent on white elephants called hotels. And you're trying to tell me for less than 10 million you cannot buy one helicopter to serve Dominica, right? That is what is unfortunate about all this. Okay, the road structure. I'm gonna get back to that because that's important. In 2019, you cannot go from Grand Bay to Soufriere. You cannot leave Grand Bay and drive over to La Plaine. Think about it. You can, but you have to go all the way back down and around. We have not thought about this, despite all the engineering marvels that you see around you. Right? We take a plane and we go vote while we come back to our luxury and our highways and our byways and our tunnels, and we're still driving that treacherous road in Dominica because no one has taken the initiative to say, you know what? Right? Think about back in the 80s when they started cutting roads and defining things. What we see now is the repaving of that, done by the Chinese and done very inferior, by the way, if you've taken a look at what's going on. No new roads. So in order to have an effective healthcare system, everything I said is all well and good, but if you don't have the roads and you don't have the air ambulance, you will not be able to do it. So we have to think about new roads between Soufriere and Grand Bay, right? Think about leaving leaving Soufriere to go to Roseau. How many of you guys have taken that road? Right? Ineffective, very, very ineffective if you have an emergency. You might as well take a speedboat. Fact, right? I'm not making this up. So we have to have better roads. And in looking at roads in Dominica, it's not just ground roads. There is no elevated roads in Dominica. There are no tunnels. There's no air tram, right? Think of Belleville. Think of Belleville and the shot to Roseau or places like Girardel, right? Why haven't we thought of air trams and things like that? These things can work. We just think, well, it's Dominica, it's hurricane. Everywhere has disasters. Places have earthquake, tidal waves, snowstorm, blizzards. It happens, right? We had two back-to-back, Erica and Maria. That does not mean we cannot cut new roads and cut tunnels and use air trams to get from one point to the next to facilitate the economy of the island. That's what we have to think about in all of this.
Speak it out. Let it out.
Telemedicine, you don't need everything in one place.
Amen.
Right? I'm at the level 2 trauma center. Most of the time at night, there's not a radiologist there, right? Sometimes the radiologist